It's a Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge. This is Mike Lubitz with me here on the program. Michael, how are you today on this fine Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge day?
In life, I'm good, thank God. As a person, I'm depressed as hell, but
You're falling apart.
otherwise, I'm good.
This Deion Sanders really got you. You screwed the pooch, as they say. All right, we had a couple of late scratches due to circumstances beyond their own individual control on the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge, and we had various options here, but we decided we're going to go ahead, do a show, and we'll throw some trivia out there for you guys. We will talk extensively about all the great things going on at Hialeah Park, which I don't mind doing at all because I absolutely love Hialeah Park, and you can see the logo there. Even that has class to it, doesn't it, right? I mean, it's a perfect symmetry, old and new, new and old, just fusing themselves together there, as if it was the old John Mayall album, Jazz Blues Fusion. Hialeah Park, great casino, great atmosphere, great place to go for the holidays. Going to be a heck of a lot of fun. And what would be better than a holiday dinner with that special someone in your life? And you say, hey, sweetheart, let's go to a very romantic dinner. And they can certainly make arrangements and accommodations for that for you. And they have all kinds of specials going on at Hialeah Park in that regard, whether you're talking about Christmas, New Year's. This is the place to celebrate the holidays. And then I'll be celebrating in January when they have the boxing there. They already had the handicapping championship. That was a huge success. Every event they do there at Hialeah Park is just the epitome of class and distinction. So you can enjoy all of that. And always a good time. And the best thing about it, if you're taking, that special someone in your life to Hialeah Park for a pre-Christmas dinner, a Christmas Eve dinner, a New Year's Eve celebration, you can gamble your brains out, too.
Yes, sir.
And I don't think there's a better combination, right? What's better than gambling on New Year's Eve? It's all a gamble anyway. Do we really know if any of this stuff is going to work out in 2022? Look what's happening in sports right now with COVID-19. Last year, everybody was alarmed and, we're thinking, oh, my God, how are you going to play the season? They managed to do it. And this season now, all of a sudden, as we come near the end of the NFL season, I believe there are 90 NFL players in COVID protocol as we speak, 90, including Baker Mayfield. Tell me that didn't send people scrambling to their bookmakers. Hey, Manny, cancel my bet. Or, you'd want to be enhancing it somewhat. That line has already changed dramatically with the announcement that Baker Mayfield is out. Who's the backup quarterback for the Cleveland Browns? Do we know?
Oh, no.
Does anybody have a clue?
That's a great question.
And that's in the NFL, but that's not where it ends. NBA, all kinds of people with COVID-19 protocols. The Bulls had to cancel a couple of games or postpone them and had 9 guys of the 15 guys on their roster in COVID protocol. A bunch of coaches are coming down with it. UCLA had to cancel a game last night as they were getting set to take on some cupcake at the, is it still the Pauley Pavilion? Named for the Polyman, by the way. Did you realize that?
No, I didn't. That makes a lot of sense.
He had a lot of money back in the day when he was a jockey agent. He had some pretty good jocks that he was taking care of. He was making all kinds of capital, especially when he had the young apprentice, Harvey Puckett, who won like 150 races. I don't know, he set some kind of record and I think was an Eclipse Award contender as the apprentice jockey of the year. Polyman was in charge of this guy's career and guiding his fortunes. And unfortunately, he got out of that game and did it maybe at the height of his success. Moved on to other things, but actually had the dough to go ahead and donate so that they could build an on-campus arena at UCLA right there in Westwood, the Pauley Pavilion.
Makes sense.
That was one of my true-false questions, actually, here on the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge. I was looking at, I've drawn, whenever I've been summoned to come up with questions, not that I'm lazy or anything in terms of research, because it's pretty easy to research almost anything. In fact, one of the fascinating aspects of putting together the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge over the years is that, and these guys, Dave Gurgly and Polyman, they do a tremendous job of coming up with questions that you can't immediately just Google.
Yeah, they're good at that.
If you say, who was the National League All-Star starting second baseman in 1972, you can Google that and look it up, right?
Yes.
Pretty quickly.
Yes.
Even while you're on the phone and going, hey, could you read me the choices again? Is that the ploy the guys use to play the game?
Yes, 100%. I mean,
is anything on the level? I guess that would be the question of the day.
You're talking to the wrong person today.
I want to get you wound up and started here because I haven't heard you like this. And you're right. The last time I saw you, just absolutely explosive, steam coming out of your ears when I mentioned anything about this particular incident that took place yesterday. was when LeBron James stiffed Pat Riley at that meeting at the Circus.
As I've gotten older,
show up.
I'm still a crazy fan when I watch, but the minute the game's over, I'm usually fine. I let it go. I am an adult. It's just a game. Yesterday, who left, how they left, was reminiscent to me of LeBron, because LeBron, by every report, was, okay, he's staying. Every report, everything he said, everything felt like he was staying. Cleveland's roster was a disaster. There was no reason to go to Cleveland. So not only him leaving, but losing probably the best player ever by a lot of people's account, or second best ever, 1A, in his prime, when you just went to 4 straight finals.
What if he had stayed here? What would have happened with the Heat and the Heat history?
That would have been interesting. Yeah, who knows? And Riley's as good as remaking roster as anyone, so that's why everyone thought he would stay. The way it happened left me totally depressed, even as a grown-ass man. Yesterday was the first time that happened since then.
Yes. Well, and here's the story. I mean, a lot of people were zeroed in. We had some, conversations about this, although,
we rarely talked about it.
There's really no way to tell what actually happened. I guess if you're getting the highest rated high school players consistently year after year, as Nick Saban is with Alabama, as Kirby Smart might be doing now at Georgia, and now Jimbo Fisher, of course, burst onto the scene here, and you're thinking this is largely fueled by large amounts of cash.
Money. I mean,
that's always been the way. I mean, when you look at players throughout history that have been superstars and they've opted to go to a school that maybe wasn't in their area or whatever, usually, a substantial amount of cash was involved. Cam Newton, did they ever figure out how much it was that Auburn spent to get him to go there?
Oh, no.
They gave it all to the old man, and there were all kinds of ways of circumventing the system.
Well, that was the school he didn't go to, so I don't know what Auburn paid him.
Whatever.
Whatever paid him $250.
But I mean, they were always, assertions out there that an unlimited amount of capital was being funneled into the pockets of various sources. The mom all of a sudden was driving a Rolls Royce, even though she had lived in dire poverty, raising 16 children with 3 jobs. And all of a sudden, she's rolling up to school in a Bentley there. And, the star quarterback is playing. But the name, image, and likeness deal was supposed to change the landscape forever. And you would assume that it would, except that the schools that were already doling out the big money without having to pay the players directly via legal means. And I guess it's still indirectly because it involves like a company, corporation,
it's supposed to
whatever.
Not be, at least Florida, but I thought all the states had the same rules because that's how we've heard it. Because we've had a lot of people on. We were really big into this when this came out because you and I have loved the idea of kids getting paid. So we thought this was it. So we talked to a lot of people about this, and everyone said that you're not supposed to, and I talked to the professor a lot about this, directly use NIL for recruiting. You get the kid in. It's about getting the kids on the roster.
But who's administrating that? Who's trying to legislate that?
The NCAA really doesn't even have
powerless
teeth.
NCAA.
Exactly.
I mean, they have no authority anymore over any of this stuff. We've seen it. They're a train wreck.
Yeah. No, they don't exist.
And who's to stop somebody from saying, which is, I guess, what happened here that has you completely upset. I mean, your whole world was turned upside down. And I don't know how good this kid is going to be. Travis Hunter is a kid's name, young man's name.
Actually, the highest rated recruit ever. Like the kid.
Okay, he's a wide receiver and a cornerback.
And a DB. He's literally he was the best wide receiver in the class and the best defensive back in the class, and probably by a lot. Like the kid's ridiculous. And he plays in a really good state, and he plays against really good competition, and it's not even fair. Like the kid's insane. I can't.
All right. So anyway, his story goes like this: 2 years, he's already committed.
Yes.
He committed. He barely was out of the womb yet, and he already was wearing like an FSU Letterman's jacket.
Yes.
All right, so the kid's been going to FSU forever, and everybody thought that was going to be the case. And this is where Lubie's particular sensitivity, and it's awfully self-indulgent of you
100%
to have this ridiculous, wild, crazy, insane rant, only because it was your alma mater that was impacted by this. If the guy
100%.
was going to go to Syracuse, what would I care? I don't know. So he ends up at Jackson State, coached by Deion Sanders, and supposedly the word was that Barstool, which I don't know what kind of conflict that is for Deion Sanders to also be performing on Barstool.
Yes,
I mean,
gets paid well.
If Nick Saban can do Aflac commercials, what stops Deion Sanders from putting his arms around an organization that is controversial, to say the least? I mean, and stands for a lot of things that you would think no college would find relatable whatsoever, that they would want to so badly distance themselves from, except that kids love this stuff.
That's the other
right?
irony here is this historic day for HBCUs is sponsored by a man who a lot of people think is massively racist.
It's Portnoy, Cat. I mean, some of the things he had to say. The young lady that was a sideline reporter in college and now is the host of the NFL pregame show on ESPN, Samantha Ponder, who, is
he's definitely sexist.
Just very, likable, seemingly very competent professional.
I talked to her on Radio Row. She's really nice.
Yeah, seems like a perfectly lovely young lady, and
talented. And
she, was crucified. I mean, in such a cruel fashion by Portnoy on Barstool that you would think no institution of higher learning would ever want to have any kind of association with people that were responsible, and not even denying it. They boldly admitted, yeah, well, we said that, and we meant it. In fact, we were holding back.
Yeah, I mean, Barstool.
I mean, they're talking about this woman as if she was a whore and this and that and all kinds of, just absolutely blatantly demeaning and blasphemous type of stuff that, you would have to think that lawsuits would be flying about. I don't even know if it's defamation of character. It's just mindless kind of, attack on a woman that seems to be a very polished professional. And I don't know. I mean, does anybody question Samantha Ponder's integrity as a performer?
No,
I'm not sure that they do. And they're implying that she slept her way to the top and this and that and all of this stuff. I mean, like really disgusting, demeaning stuff. So, of course, here's Jackson State now. They have Deion Sanders as their coach of the football team. And here's Portnoy, and you have Barstool Sports putting up $2 million to guarantee this kid that if he goes to Jackson State, he's going to get $2 million.
Well, it's
right off the bat.
Range 1.5 to 2 million. A lot of people are saying 1.82.
Doesn't matter. I mean, it's millions of dollars.
And he's going to get a reality. It's like openly known. He's going to get his own reality TV show, which again, good for him.
Yeah. Hey, look, and we've been saying this all along. The funny thing, always trying to hide again behind this cloak of amateurism. Yeah. I mean, why not just come out of the closet, so to speak? Yeah. And admit to what you are, a professional enterprise with zillions of dollars at stake. They're flying Tony Segreto all over the place to go watch. Did Tony really need to go as a member of the Orange Bowl committee to fly to that Cincinnati game and witness what was going on there and meet all the people so that they could invite Cincinnati to the Orange Bowl? They were going there anyway.
They had no say. The game was
by the draw,
regardless.
Exactly. So what was the point of? I don't know. I mean, I guess it would be useful if you were going to stage an event like the Orange Bowl game to get to know the people that were going to be involved and tell them, hey, here's what's the agenda is going to be the week before. We're going to need to coach and this and that. How do you feel about this? And we're going to have a parade. And, do you want your guys wearing orange uniforms? I mean, whatever it was that they discussed, I guess there are some details that might be worthwhile to be face-to-face with some of the people that were running the event, or running the team. But other than that, I mean, look, it's all a giant charade. The money that's involved, the players should be paid a percentage of what revenues are generated by the teams that they play for.
Yes.
I would think that would be the way to compensate players, not go into this sort of shadowy area of name, image, and likeness. That should have been accorded anybody that was doing whatever it is that they do in life. Well, why should you not be able to take, if somebody wants to pay you $100,000 to put you in a television commercial and you happen to be a high school player, why shouldn't you be able to accept that? Except in the past, you were supposedly technically damaging your status as an amateur athlete, and that would preclude you from playing on a collegiate level and or put the team that had you on their roster in some kind of jeopardy of being in violation of NCAA rules, right? But that never worked. And this whole business about, well, this is the way that we're going to find a way to funnel some cash into players' pockets now has reached absurd proportions.
Yes.
Because you have this kid going, and your beef, Lubie, is that this was supposed to be a big triumphant day for these smaller schools because they were able to snare like the number one recruit. Yeah. But you're saying it may as well be like Black Sunday, right? Bruce Stern may as well be in some kind of blimp hovering over the arena with intentions of annihilating the entire crowd.
I mean, for the one day, it was historic. It never happened. You got a 5-star, the best recruit in the country, to go to an HBCU. It was a great day. But to me, all these people that are saying this is like historic in the sense that it's a new thing that's going to just happen all over the place, They're ignoring why it happened. They're thinking, well, Dion said he'd change it, and he did. I mean, he's Dion. Dion's never given a shit about anyone but Dion. So that's already saying you don't know who Dion is.
I think you should qualify your bitterness, though, about Deion Sanders, because you loved him when he was playing for Florida State.
I didn't. I was little. When he was at it, I didn't know him at FSU. I actually grew up hating Noel. I didn't realize Deion was a Noel till I was like in middle school or high school. Like I hated Deion because he was a pompous ass. And then when I knew he was a Noel, I'm like, oh, cool, he's a Noel. Like, he's the best DB ever, so he's a Noel. But I've never liked him. He's always been really weird with FSU, like really standoffish with FSU. So, but that's fine. I mean, it is what it is, and he did.
He ruined him now.
Yeah, he made a move. So good for him. I mean, good for him. It's just all these people that are doing a victory lap. To me, I don't think this is the thing we're going to see happen all the time. Now, I think it's the opposite. I think he had a connection with Barstool, and he's at a school that he was willing to push NIL in a way no one has yet, and he took advantage of the rules in a way no one has yet. And he got his guy to pay a lot of money that people were trying to pay him and they weren't paying him that much. So he won, but now he's opened the floodgates. Like now Alabama and Georgia and Texas and USC and Ohio State.
But Bryce Young had $1 million deals in place before he went to Alabama, right?
He was already at Alabama for a year when
he was there, yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
That's the point of NIL, is to pay the kids that are there for the work they're doing now. That's the quote-unquote point. Of course it's being used for recruiting, but it's not supposed to. And again, it's all bullshit. You know it's bullshit. But Deion now opened it up. Deion now made it, like, literally Jimbo was asked on fucking Feinbaum, the piece of work. Jimbo openly said...
I notice you're swearing more.
I'm cursing a lot, yes. Cursing a lot. Jimbo, Feinbaum...
Remember, little kids are driving to school with their parents.
Definitely. I apologize.
Listening to the show. Yeah.
Feinbaum brought up...
I mean, it's okay. I mean, you're punctuated. It just shows you how this is impacting.
How passionate I am. So
you've lost your control over your ability to edit what you're saying as it's coming out of your mouth.
Feinbaum asked Jimbo how NIL's changed things, and Jimbo laughed and openly on air said, well, I mean, we're already paying him. Now we're just paying him legally. So, I mean, that's what happened. I think that's all that this did, was now the people that were sort of creeping in the background doing this, like, hey, if Deion can do it. So I don't think this is this big day for HBCU going forward. I think it opened the floodgates to speed up the process of the NIL ruining college football. I mean, which is fine. It needed to happen. These kids need to get paid. They deserve to get paid. The schools weren't doing it, so this way at least they'll get paid. But it was like sort of a slow process. It was going to take 2 to 3 years. Now I feel like it's been fast-tracked. So we'll see.
Yeah, once Phil Knight opens up the
exactly.
There,
like, come on.
You would think the new coach at Oregon would have no trouble getting recruits and winning those battles. Anyway, it's always interesting to see the reporting on this, because I don't know that it really has any foundation in reality. You realize that the top programs find ways to perpetuate themselves because naturally, if you're running the number one program in the country, like, say, Nick Saban is at Alabama, and whether they're number one or not at the end of the year, still everybody knows that, look, you look at second-round picks, third-round picks off the Alabama roster, they're starting and playing prominent roles in the NFL. And, you know, it's almost like looking at Calipari's Kentucky teams from a couple of years ago, where we're like 7 guys on the roster, all after playing their 1 year, all go in the first round in the top 15. Of the NBA draft. Amazing. You know, it's one thing. I always tease you about the Devin Booker thing, but the truth was he was kind of buried on that roster.
Yes,
at Kentucky. People didn't really know, much about this guy. He did end up being the number 13 pick in the draft, but he was low on the totem pole of Kentucky players in terms of public recognition because he was coming off the bench there and averaging like 12 points a game as a freshman, taking 6 shots.
Honestly.
All going in.
Yeah, exactly.
While elevating 6 feet off the ground to get off his jumper while being triple covered. You know what? I looked at that and said, that guy looks pretty good to me. But the point being, I mean, you're going to gravitate toward these programs. I mean, the University of Miami, everybody's, Mario Cristobal, he's going to straighten this out. Al Golden, he's going to straighten this out. Larry Coker, he knows all the local kids and the high school coaches. They're going to love him. They're all going to want to go there. I don't know what the mindset of 18, 17-year-old young men are, where do they stand today? They're going to gravitate towards where they think they can quickly become famous, as was always the case, and get the maximum exposure. I mean, you don't think it was an advantage for Notre Dame to have a contract with NBC?
Oh, I mean, huge.
Right. Here's the University of Miami. Your game's on TV? Yeah, well, we're on Hulu. We're on Zebra Plus. Who couldn't even figure out, what these channels are? How many times, we're here in South Florida, and, a zillion times you're thumbing around going, wait a minute, where's this game? All right, it's a Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge. Play the ponies in style at Champions, the outstanding simulcasting room at beautiful Hialeah Park. Yes, the grand old lady of thoroughbred racing has never been more vibrant, and you can wager on the races from the top tracks around the country while enjoying a cocktail at the Brass Rail Bar or any of the fine food served throughout the facility. If poker is your game, you're covered in style, and you can play all your favorite Vegas-style games, including blackjack, craps, and roulette, in Hialeah Park's sizzling hot casino. Get a player's card when you walk through the door for all kinds of generous amenities, including our favorite, free play, when you come out to the ultimate casino and entertainment destination, Hialeah Park.
These days, we're all looking for comfort anywhere we can find it. Thank goodness for Landlubbers Raw Bar and Grill in the Plantation location, because they are making sure you are as comfortable as possible. First of all, they're not only open for delivery and pickup. All you have to do is go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both pickup and free delivery. Their hours have changed a little bit. Monday through Thursday from 3:30 to 10, and Friday, Saturday, and Sunday from 11:30 to 10. You're going to have the best wings in the world. You're going to have a great burger. You're going to have their amazing soups. Again, Landlubbers, Raw Bar, and Grill. It's nice and easy. Just go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both your pickup and free delivery. Thank goodness for Landlubbers for making you always feel right at home.
Good to have you with us, by the way, for the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge. I did come up with a reasonable and somewhat challenging trivia question.
All right.
That we can throw out there to keep in the spirit of the game. And we've had a lot of stuff for general discussion also during this time, as we always do on a Defo Show. And we had a couple of late scratches, unfortunately. The Polyman, as we said, the Polyman was a late scratch. Vet scratch at the gate. And, Dave Gurgles-Gurgley couldn't make it today, so we thought, well, what do we do? Do we just do like our regular show? But we wanted to toss something out there to keep in the spirit of the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge. So I have another question coming up here. The first one was really never answered, although we did award a prize to Andy, who's as loyal a listener as you're going to find. And obviously, no one had a better time at that fight card, except, I guess, Arislandi Lara.
Yeah, I was going to say Lara.
Than Andy did, uniting with his man, the fighting rabbi, Yuri Foreman, who was featured at Hialeah Park. And, wow, that was a very exciting night. Wasn't like King Kong Ortiz out there? And
yes.
You had Deontay Wilder was yelling and screaming at each other. And he had to hold him back. I think Frank Fiore was kind of like Jeff Van Gundy.
Yes.
Draped around the ankles of Alonzo Mourning as Larry Johnson and Alonzo were throwing purses at each other. You can't say that anymore, right? Probably that, would be offensive to somebody.
Yeah, whatever.
Who would come after us? Gay rights people, women organizations? I don't know. Anyway, the litigation, just send it all to Jack Namer and his legal department.
No.
We'll handle it for us. Lipschitz is out.
Yeah, no.
He doesn't do that anymore, right? And he ate the retainer that I gave him for both 2019, 20, and 21. He said, you know what? I'm not putting in any more hours. I'm retired. He hung up his shingle as an attorney, just going straight with bookmaking with all the suckers that are out there, getting ready to bet on the bowl games that are coming up. And yet I would think if you were an astute follower of college football, couldn't you establish some kind of a reasonable edge that would get you above the 52.38% of games that you need to win in order just to simply beat the juice?
Yes, you should.
You would think that some Sharpies. That's why I'm looking forward to tomorrow's Degenerate Friday here on Ion Channel, because Mark Lawrence, no doubt, has like a zillion trends.
Yep.
This guy was pulling numbers out of the sky last week on the show. Now, I don't know how impactful they were. I know he liked the Washington football team, and they went down to the spread.
Yes,
he was Dallas Cowboys.
He was 0-2, but again, his hands were tied because he likes doing the dogs. On top of that, we've pigeonholed him where he has to do the dogs, and he had no college football. So between the two, he usually can find a way to be over 500, if not really successful.
Well, look, you're picking NFL. 2 games. There's a good chance. And it was Chalk City. See, that was a problem. Polyman was telling me they have this contest going at Magic City Casino where on the 1 o'clock games, you have to pick a 3-team parlay against the spread. And if you hit all 3, they give you like $100. So he said there were 60 entries. Get this, Lubie, 60 entries in the contest. 31 of the people were able to connect on a 3-team parlay because you can go with a couple of standard deductions every week. Literally, I mean, it's like writing off your golf clubs and your Corvette on your tax return. You can bet against the Jets and bet against the Jaguars, who we didn't even get to this. They fired Urban Meyer in the middle of the night.
Yes, we went a whole hour without talking about
Came
Herbie.
knocking on his door. Urban. You're sleeping at the coach's office again, huh, Urban? Well, there's no need to bother.
Yeah, exactly.
So now, I don't know, did they pay this kicker to come out of the woodwork like 3 months after the fact?
Yeah, I didn't realize it was August. Like, I saw that this morning.
Josh Lambo is the guy's name. And he may as well be Rambo in terms of trying to save this Shaka Khan guy the money that he's going to have to dole out to Urban Meyer to get rid of him inside of 1 year. I think Bobby Petrino was the only guy that had a worse record while being fired in the first year coming off a college job and going pro. I guess there aren't that many people in that category.
Yeah, Petrino just
left.
But
he was 3-11 as a pro coach. What was he with the Falcons?
Falcons, yeah. And he it was going so bad, he just said, screw this, and left.
He walked, yeah. That was great. And Urban at 2-11, I think he was 3-10. Yeah, Petrino 13 games. It was 3-10, I believe. And Urban Meyer at 2-11 leaves. And his kicker comes out, tells some reporter from the Tampa Bay Tribune that Urban Meyer, while he was stretching, kicked him in the leg, and I'm quoting this here. I'm not even making this up. You were doing a lot of cursing when you were disgusted with what happened with Deion Sanders in Florida State.
Yeah.
Michael Lubie. The quote, according to Josh Lambo, this is what Urban Meyer says as he kicks the guy who's stretching out. Not a love tap, he said, but not so devastating that it was like the final blow in a UFC match. Says, and Urban says, "Hey, dipshit, make your fucking kicks." That's what he said to the player.
That's coaching.
As he kicked him. This is the implication here.
That's motivation right there. Good job, Ruby.
Is this not like lining up a bunch of women and having them accuse somebody of some form of sexual assault, and then mysteriously it all goes away?
Oh, yeah.
After who's the attorney? Gloria Allred.
Allred. Yeah.
Oh, my God, is she disgusting. Unbelievable. What a leech. Anyway, when I see her, I tend to not believe the people's case. And she's always up front there, and maybe she is, in the long run trying to do. I don't believe she's out there to do some good. When it's the same attorney all the time,
exactly.
Same lawsuit, same approach.
Yeah, and then she's always okay with the settlement, always. It's like, you never want to fight, like, ever. You did
How is she always there? I mean, it's just, I look, and for me, it kind of puts in question the credibility of the people that are filing the cases or lodging the complaint. This Lambo guy, okay, so all of a sudden, out of nowhere, when they need to fire Urban Meyer because things are unraveling so rapidly. Yep. It's getting so bad. I mean, that it's out there in the public. I mean, it's no longer just a thing that's behind closed doors or whatever. There's rumbling. Look, people didn't like Nick Saban when he was here, and there was good reason not to.
Well, that's the thing.
It's one of the reasons we labeled him Satan himself. His behavior was disgusting. It was appalling, at least according to all reports. Now, I don't know. I didn't witness him stepping over that guy that had passed out in the locker room and then just turning around, as the guy's laying on the ground and everybody's hovering around him going, "We hit the field at 1, no matter what."
He's standing over him.
Okay, Newt.
Exactly.
Yeah. All right, Vince. Well, what are you talking about? There's a guy you're passing out here. You have zero compassion for one of the players on your roster. 0.0. And then the firing of the secretaries for, even addressing him. I mean, who are you, Barbara Streisand or something?
Yeah, who cares?
Right? Streisand had that policy where, none of the people, like if there was a cleaning woman or a maid or whatever, somebody was in the room there, they were not to look at her in the eye. Do not look at me, right? Turn around, show your back. Okay. I was glad that she was left out in the rain there at Cafe Monterano for 3 hours while her hair frizzed up into some kind of elaborate Jewish afro. Unbelievable. But anyway, so this guy comes out of nowhere and starts telling a story to the Tampa Bay Tribune and says that Urban Meyer kicked him. I mean, do you think it was worth $10 million of Khan's money to get this guy to suddenly, go public with this whole obnoxious story about Urban Meyer's behavior, which, I don't know, would you put it past him? Is that something that just fooling around a coach? Is that normal professional coach to players speak? Where the guy,
dipshit. Who uses
Just kidding
the term
around?
dipshit?
I don't know. I mean, the context is a whole nother thing, right? Like I might say that to you. Hey, dipshit, we're in a guest today.
But that's my thing. Is
But,
like
I don't mean it, in any kind of, ugly fashion, a derisive fashion.
there's strong words that people will use jokingly. Is dipshit one of them? Like, hey, jerk off. Hey.
I don't even think it's like in the common vernacular anymore. When do you call somebody a dipshit?
In 2021, I get it when you're older, you're 30s or whatever that age is, 20s, your lexicon is sort of settled in, and the rest of your life you sort of use very similar language. You may grow a little here and there, but the main words you use supposedly stick with you. Okay, whatever. But dipshit? I haven't heard the term dipshit in years. And if it's used, it's totally derogatory. No one's ever like, hey, dipshit. Like dipshit's not one of those. Like, hey,
my buddy
ass,
over here, like, dipshit. Yeah.
Like
no, it's derisive. There's no question. Is it common that a coach would say that? Talk about instilling and inspiring confidence in a guy that's probably got a very fragile psyche to begin with, as most kickers or goalies or knuckleballers,
closers.
Usually these guys are not exactly 100% stable, and that's why they're they're kind of off on the side there at practice by themselves. I mean, the game's on the line. All of a sudden, the camera starts showing the guy kicking a few into the net. Doesn't look like he's on his form. Then they ice the guy. I mean, and these guys put up with a lot there. So I don't know. Do you really want to say, hey, make your fucking kicks today?
No, that's the opposite. That sounds like...
This is a guy who is teaching a course in being an inspiration as a human being. Ethics and quality, character. At Ohio State. Well, we have some strict academic conditions here. That's why we're a little bit behind Michigan in recruiting. Get the out of here.
Are you kidding me?
All right, so this story, do you think it was concocted out of nowhere? I mean, how convenient is it that the day they wanted to fire Urban Meyer, this story surfaced? It wasn't, the final straw, but it was like they grasped onto this to say, there it is, grounds for dismissal.
It is funny that this stuff always comes out like at the worst. It's never when everything's rolling. It's always in the middle of the garbage.
You couldn't fire him for being inept. You couldn't fire him for, possibly putting, such a negative impact on Trevor Lawrence that he never becomes a guy that fulfills his potential, that he's a second coming of Ryan Leaf.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Right? I mean, there are a lot of things that you would have looked at that were happening in Jacksonville that didn't look to be favorable, including the leakage of this business of him being so disparaging to his own coaches and players.
The coaches thing.
Kind of making an ass of himself on that episode in Ohio.
Oh, my God.
So, I don't know, very, very unusual. I mean, the timing of it, the firing was not a surprise.
No.
But the fact that all of a sudden something surfaced that could possibly justify, cause for dismissal and or lessen the blow to the compensation that Urban Meyer is going to receive. And it's always, people say things in life happen for a reason, Lubie. I don't buy that. That's not always a good reason. That would be my philosophy.
They even happen for a reason. It doesn't mean it's good.
Yes. Things might happen for a reason, but they're not always good reasons. Exactly. That has been my experience. Okay? I don't know about you guys. I don't know how you fared
100% agree.
Over the years. But, I mean, this is one of those things where you look at, and if you ever wanted to think, oh, yeah, well, everything balances out in the end. Man. Here's a guy that was an outright disaster at his job in this last capacity here. Hired out of retirement from coaching, comes in, is handed a situation that you would have to think had some upside potential to it.
If you're getting Lawrence.
Completely discombobulates any progress that the Jacksonville franchise could have made while getting the number one guy, the pure cinch guy that was going to come into the NFL and be the quarterback for the next 15 years, right?
Probably a top 5 QB prospect ever. I mean, you have Elway, you had Manning, you had Luck, and who
This was
else?
bigger than Tony Baselli. They haven't been good since Mark Brunell was throwing a rock there in Jacksonville.
He's been the guy people were waiting for years, Lawrence. I mean,
yes. You finally luck out, and your year when you were really bad and the number one pick was available is the one cinch guy that is there.
Yeah.
And nothing's happening with that, and your team looks like a disaster. 2 wins, and both of those. I mean, the Dolphin win was a joke.
Yeah, it was bullshit.
Handed to him. I mean, he still won a game. You can't take it away from him. And then they beat the Buffalo Bills like 9-6.
Yeah, it was
when people saw various known gamblers leaving the arena with big smiles on their face after they cashed. I mean, somebody must have owed somebody something. Unbelievable. All right, it's a Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge.
Recently, we realized it's not just hurricane season that can hurt us. Any time of year, things can happen to your home or business. And the insurance company can be your friend, but they also can be your enemy. Horizon Public Adjusters, Justina Testa, are here for you to help this process go so much easier. Before you call the insurance company, call Horizon Public Adjusters and Justina Testa at 954-809-8752. Would you go into court without an attorney? So why would you go up against an insurance company without Horizon Public Adjusters and Justina Testa? 7 to 10 times more money recovered with a public adjuster than if you went on your own. If there's no recovery, there's no fee. Give them a call at 954-809-8752. Why go up against insurance companies alone when you can have Horizon Public Adjusters and Justina Testa on your side?